Habits, how to make or break a habit. This is a really cool video, this one, and all of the information comes out of the study and research from Dr. Gina Cleo, who is the creator of the Habit Change Institute. And so the data in habits is so new and evolving. It's just a little bit like neuroscience, where the information and the science behind this now will continue to grow and evolve. But as at this point in time, this is what the current science around habit formation and habit change is actually saying. Basically, habits were once premeditated behaviors. So you did something, and that particular thing gave you a benefit of some sort, and so you started to do it again and again and again, and then suddenly that behavior turned into a habit. They're behaviors that we do automatically, and it would feel strange if we didn't do them. So, for example, before bed or after you get up, brushing your teeth. For many of us, we just instinctively do it. Or for some of us, we get in the car, we drive to work, and before you know it, we're there, but we've never actually processed what was going on and thought, gee, I don't even know if I ran a red light because I kind of just got into autopilot mode. Now, 43% of daily behaviors are performed out of habit. So that means 43% of our day we are unconsciously or subconsciously operating and just doing things like a computer program, as opposed to consciously making decisions and choices to suit the situation. Now, we form them because they're an energy preserving activity, okay? They come from the unconscious, and your brain takes up about 20% of your daily energy intake, which means we then form these habits to help us preserve energy, where we can just still keep operating, still keep going on with things, but we're doing them on autopilot and out of habit, so that we're giving our brain a little bit of a rest, because it's impossible for your brain to be constantly switched on the whole time that you are awake. Now, science shows that it can take between 18 to 254 days to break a habit. So again, this is the evolution of the research around habits, because there's certainly books around how to make or break a habit in 30 days, and there's different numbers that you will hear, and even in some of our videos, you'll hear a different number around how many days it takes to make or break a habit. But the science shows it's between 18 to 254. And there's lots of different reasons why that differs. It depends on, well, how entrenched is the habit? How much of a tight mindset do you have? So how much do you actually hold on to things, and you're a real habitual creature who likes to do things over and over again? What's the motivation for you to actually change the habit? So there are lots and lots of different reasons why it takes longer for some people to break habits, whereas others can just get up and say, right, this is my New Year's resolution, and this is the thing that I am going to change this year. The BCOM framework, it's a great framework around behavior change, all right? So if we want to change a habit, then we have to understand a behavioral diagnostic. So we have to understand the influence of our behavior and why we do certain things. So why are the behaviors as they are, and what needs to change for the desired behaviors to actually occur? Now, these three things in the BCOM framework: motivation, capability, and opportunity. So whenever you want to change a habit, think about these three criteria. Do I have the motivation to make that change? What's the benefit of doing it? What's the benefit of not doing it? Do I have the capability to do it? Do I have all the skills that I require right now to make this change? And do I have an opportunity to do it? Often in all of the coaching that I've ever done, generally motivation comes out as the number one for why people don't make changes. It's generally an opportunity on a daily basis that they have to make certain changes. Capability is the next thing that most people have to build on, but it's quite easy to acquire knowledge and information. With the internet these days, there's a plethora of information at our fingertips and at our disposal. So motivation is where most people struggle, because we're creatures of habit, and it's comfortable and it's safe and it's familiar to keep doing the thing that we were doing, whether that's smoking or whether that is, a different thing that you do, staying up too late, whatever it might actually be. If one of these elements is missing, it's going to become harder to change a habit. And if all three are missing, then it's exceptionally hard to change a habit. So do a little behavioral diagnostic and then ask yourself those three questions. Do I have the motivation, capability, and opportunity? And if something is missing, what is missing? And how do I fix the thing that is actually missing? There's a great mindset quiz that you can do. It's free, it's online. Again, we're not attached to this particular quiz. We don't get any proceeds from it. It is just a great tool that you can do, and you can work out if you have a loose mindset or if you have a tight mindset. If you have a tight mindset, it's hard to break a habit, but it's actually really easy to form one. And then on the alternate side is if you have a loose mindset, it's easy to break a habit, but it's much harder to form it. So if you've got a loose mindset and perhaps you're a little bit more open and receptive to doing things, you don't necessarily like a lot of structure, you're perhaps a little less organized than someone with a tight mindset, then it's really easy to break a habit because it's easy to stop doing the thing you're doing because you're more free flowing. But it's a lot harder to form a habit as well because you're also not so structured, not so consistent, not so disciplined. The alternative side, the very tight mindset, it's harder to break the habit because you are so structured and disciplined and you've been doing this forever and a day, and it feels a little awkward and uncomfortable to stop doing that behavior. Then when you want to form a new behavior though, when you've decided what's the thing I now want to create, it becomes a lot easier because you are structured. So in your mind, you've decided, right, I want to do this. And so it's just a matter of repetition because you've already gone through and planned how you're going to do it. And then it's just a matter of actually doing the thing. And sticking to it isn't really a problem when you've got a very tight mindset. Now, the habit loop is always a good thing to understand. So you use it to form or to break a habit. So it's a three-pronged approach. You have a cue, you have a routine, and you have a reward. Now, the cue might also be called a trigger in other circles that you might hear or listen to different habit theorists or habit specialists. Cue, routine, reward. Now, each time you do this thing, the neural pathways get strengthened in your brain. And so that is how a habit is formed. So, for example, if you come home from work and you eat a cookie. So the cue is come home from work. The routine is eat a cookie. And then the reward is, well, it makes me feel good. It's a sugar hit. It's instant gratification. If you do that consistently, then the neural pathways strengthen. And when you come home, you start to crave the cookie. So you feed that desire and therefore the habit now starts to happen. Now, not all habits are bad. Let's look at the alternative. Let's say your cue is when I wake up. My routine is I go to the gym, and my reward is that I actually feel good and that I've got more energy as a result. So you can see there that using this habit loop isn't necessarily always something for the negative, but most often when we want to break a habit, it's because we want to break a habit that we're not happy with. And so it's a habit that's no longer serving us. And so we want to quit smoking, or we want to quit alcohol, or eat less cookies, or whatever it might be. But the most important part of the formula to form or to break a habit is to understand the cue or the trigger. Okay, because all habits are actually triggered. When this happens, I do this. So if you understand what triggers you or what your cues are, then you've got a better job of starting to make change. If you want to break a habit, if it's a habit that's not serving you, you can do it in two different ways. You can either reprogram or you can restructure. The stronger the goal intention to do the new behavior, the more successful you're likely to be to start switching. Okay, so I mentioned that BCOM framework, the opportunity, the motivation, and the capability. So the stronger that your goal intention is to do the new thing, then the more success you're likely to have. Reprogramming basically means you want to create a new habit, but you want to attach it to in response to the existing cue. So same cue, but you want to change the routine and have the same reward. Let's say it's come home. You still want to come home. You can't avoid coming home from your house. But the routine that you now want to eat a cookie with becomes, I want to go for a walk. So when I come home, I now go for a walk, and therefore the reward is the same. It's the instant gratification. It's the feel better kind of thing. So that's reprogramming. Restructuring is when we actually change the environment. So when you block the cue, then the actual habit cycle doesn't take place. Let's say it's when I come home, I drive past McDonald's every day, and so I just duck in for a quick cheeseburger. By restructuring, you change the actual environment, which means you potentially drive a completely different way to avoid McDonald's. You remove it from your actual routine. Or perhaps you now start to catch the train instead of actually going down that road. So you're physically restructuring or changing. You'll often see people who move houses for a fresh start. That's to change the old ways and the old habits and the old cues to get a different desired outcome. A great question for you to reflect on at the end of this video. You now understand, well, what is a habit? You understand the 3 elements of behavior change. You understand the difference between fixed mindset, loose mindset, and you understand the habit loop, that all habits are triggered. And if you want to make changes, think about the trigger and then identify, right, is it that I need to reprogram or restructure the environment, or which one do I need to do? So sit down and reflect about what habits you perhaps have that no longer serve you well, and then start to make a plan for how you're actually going to change them. And do that mindset quiz. If you come out as a very loose mindset, then know that it's going to be pretty easy for you to break old habits, but harder for you to form new ones. And if you come out on the tight side, then there's a fair chance it's going to be harder for you to break the old habits, but easy for you to form the new ones. So it's all through repetition to keep retraining your brain, to keep strengthening the connections within your brain to form the new desired habit. It's a great topic. It's one to explore. It's certainly an area that a lot of people would love to be able to do, to understand that they can take control of their lives by taking control of their habits.